You have bad habits that are making Warzone so much harder than it needs to be. And in this gameplay, we're going to be talking through a coaching session that I did with a guy named Little Dude Donut, who I've been working with for over a month. One of the things that pointed out to me is that the small decisions that you make, whether good or bad, can completely change the way that your game goes. Hope you guys enjoy this. You end up landing right on down towards the scavenger contract. And this is a really good landing spot. This is where I have been landing, and the reason that I land here is because there's buy station, and buy station, and you can kind of play the fights in like all four angles, and there's a ton of action. So you are able to get into a significant amount of fights and choose who you want to fight straight off the bat. So I really like the landing spot. I think that this could be a really good like secondary spot that you end up landing. And I think that you'll really like it. So what we end up doing is we end up grabbing a gun straight off the rip. And then what we're doing is we're going to be looking for the second kid who ends up being in here. Now, I want to hear from your thought process. Why do you think you ended up losing this engagement?
So basically, I heard him too late. And he baited me out the door.
Yes.
Because he was pre-firing me as soon as I slid through the door.
Absolutely. And so
even though I thought I had him hurt.
Absolutely. And so right here, let's talk about this. So he breaks through the door, he's pretty hurt, and then just kind of pre-fired you. Now watch your slide. Whenever you're sliding, you're pretty much sliding like directly into him, and the issue with that is he doesn't really have to do any aiming. Now if you were to pay attention to this arrow right here, if you were to slide this way rather than towards him like this, it's going to be pretty hard for him because he's going to have to track you as you're going along over here. So you sliding right into him like this is going to be a pretty easy kill for him. Now, what should we have done differently in this situation? First off, you always want to kind of quantify how one shot are they. So like right here, we got him hit with a bullet, and then he still has his plates on. So in situations where like right there, we see that he still has his plates on, I don't actually chase those typically. What I will do instead is I'm going to walk over to like this spot, hold the pre-aim, and look out this way. And what that does is most people do what you just did, and I've done it as well. I've been caught in that situation plenty of times. And so instead, you kind of like, you know that he's thinking, oh, this guy's going to chow me. So what you're going to do is you're going to actually counter that thought. You're going to just pre-aim and aim. And typically you're going to end up seeing that you're going to be winning a lot more of these gunfights because he's a little bit weaker than you are. It's basically just going to be a one-on-one. What we're going to talk about is this regain. So it did lag a little bit in one of these portions and kind of froze. I don't know if that's going to pop up in the past broadcast. It shouldn't, but you did a very good job right over here. So straight off the bat, we're trying to get the timer down, and we're looking for some guns and also something else. So what else should we be looking for right now?
Plates.
Yes. Cool. And so a lot of the times you can look to these shelves right here, and they're almost always on one of these shelves. So this is the order at which I want you to look for things. I wrote this down in your notes today. So guns, always look for a gun first, then a plate, and then you can go and get some kills. I guess it would be then like reduce your timer, then go and get kills. And so I really like the play to also go all the way up top right over here. So we go all the way up top. It's always pretty safe whenever you're on top of a roof, because you can kind of choose the engagement a little bit more. So we end up going, we get a few different plate boxes. We get some plates. We get some good shots on them. I'm just going to kind of skip on past that a little bit. Yep. And then we are rotating up a little bit more towards this area right over here. Now we end up running back. We get hit with a bunker buster. You hit some phenomenal shots straight off the bat. Then you got a little bit weak from the kid behind you. And then we ended up running on out, and we're kind of just trying to figure out what's going on. And this is kind of where like the audio got a little bit buggy. So I'm just going to turn that down a little bit. So this was an awesome kill right here. This was a really awesome kill. So we end up seeing and hearing that there is a person behind us. You recorrected your centering and absolutely gunned him down. So really good job on doing what we kind of talked about, is like whenever your center dot is off of the person, just unaim and then aim back in. So awesome job on that. So then, how far does this skip? Is this 30 seconds? No, it's 10 seconds. Okay. So we end up getting that kill. Then we rotate it on out towards where the buy station is. And what is one thing that maybe you should have done before we rotated out of here? So we get our plates
I
on.
honestly don't know.
Neither of your guns were reloaded.
Oh.
So right
Okay.
here, you actually only lost that gunfight, like, because your gun wasn't reloaded. Like, you could have just kept holding the hard aim, but neither gun had any ammo in it, only like 14 bullets. So trying to make sure, like, after a tough fight, that we get into the habit of just like fully reloading, get our plates on, at least reload one gun, and then get back into the engagements.
Okay.
All right. So one thing I want to point out is while we're regaining, what are we looking for? Typically what we're going to be wanting to look for is we're first going to be looking at this. How much economy do we have? So we got $4,400. Now, based off of the gun's pricing, you can buy one gun with that. And then if you get a little bit more, you get to 5K, you can buy two guns. So you can pretty much have your loadout without the perks. So what I always do is, like, whenever I have below this, I'm going to try to go land near a buy station or land down, reduce the time, then go to the buy station. I'm going to be buying a gun and then a plate. And then I'm going to be pretty much just right back in the action. So we end up landing down, just going to kind of skip. We get a plate, getting a few stuff. We end up buying a munitions box. Can you talk me through that thought process right there for the munitions box?
Well, because I've landed in so many times and picked up a gun and didn't have enough
Mm.
in it, or I picked up someone else's loadout and there wasn't enough there.
Mm-hmm.
It was honestly, there wasn't a whole lot of thought on that. It was more just you can't get your loadout right now, so get some extra bullets.
Gotcha.
Basically.
Yeah, the thought process makes sense. I think what we should do is just replace that with grabbing one gun and one plate. Sounds good?
So, actually, I have no idea how much the guns were.
Okay.
So I didn't even think about buying my own gun.
No worries. No worries at all. So every gun, unless you have gunfighter, so every gun's gonna be $2,500. If you have gunfighter,
Okay.
I believe it's for a submachine gun $3,500, and then for an AR $6,000, I think.
And that's with the 8 perk one, isn't it?
Yep, eight attachment. Yep.
Okay.
Cool.
8 attach, yep.
So I like the way that you play this. You're playing the audio. You're trying to figure out where these kids are. Then we go and we bust out the doors and we're trying to get into the action. So we end up pushing this kid over here. We kind of get pinched in between two guys. You isolate the right guy, and then you mantle on over. He gets you one shot. And one of the things I think I want you to start learning how to do is knowing when to bail. There's a lot of times where, like, there's situations where, like, I'm just going to be completely gone. I'm jumping off the side of the building. I'm gone out of this fight. And this is going to be probably one of those. There's another guy on you. He killed the person you're shooting. You're completely one shot. And you have like barely any plates. So, like, trying to get I think just trying to understand that, like, those are the situations that you're just going to want to completely dip out of and almost pretend like you weren't even there. And then get your plates on and then reset yourself back up.
Okay.
So we end up we land on in, we get our overkill. I like your class setup, especially the XM4. I'm pretty sure it's the same build that I'm rocking. And we're kind of just chilling a little bit right now. We're just trying to get a little bit of a regain. I like it. We get some plates. Then we run on over here. This kid, I'm shocked he didn't die. Wait, no, it was this kid.
Both of them.
This kid should have died.
Honestly.
Yeah, that kid should have died. It was like one bullet missed that made it really, really frustrating. So, all right. So right here, we're kind of just holding the angle. We're back on up. We maybe hear somebody that's right down there. We're just kind of just trying to figure out, like, what our next move is. We see a few people that are from afar and we're like, all right, I'm just going to kind of just play it slow and just trying to figure out where everybody is. Now, there's nothing wrong with this. This is actually a really good play. Just trying to get your next engagement in check. Now, this was awesome. So we end up getting that kill. And did you know that there was a second guy in here or no?
Absolutely not. I had no idea until he poked his head up.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes a little bit more sense. So I saw that because I saw, like, bullets flying out. Like whenever, like, yeah. And it was also the only way that you got that kill, because you killed that kid pretty quick. Now we end up challenging this kid. Now this is one of those situations that we're just kind of talking about. So you see how we get caught off guard. There's a dude right here and you're committing to the engagement. This is one of those times where I'll probably shoot my first few bullets at this guy and then sprint the heck away. And I'm going to be like, in this situation, I'm going to be focusing on either running this way, pulling out my knife. And then if we're paying attention to the minimap, I'm going to try to rotate on down here, either towards this door or just simply jump off and go under. So trying to just make sure that, like, you know, in a situation that you're not going to win, that you just evade immediately, like, and don't fully commit. And a lot of times, this is just from my experience with this game, there's those dark corners that are just so dark that it's so hard to see where the people are. I'm almost never challenging that gunfight because it's just like, you don't even know where they are. Like, could you see that kid? Because I couldn't. I like barely could see that guy.
So, I did not see him until the guy went to go res himself, and how they lean backwards.
Yep.
And then res and come forward. That's when I saw the second guy. So as I was shooting through my down, then I was getting, I got the hit markers on the second guy.
Really good kill right there. That centering was impeccable, by the way.
Thank you.
No, but I understand that. So it's kind of like, it just caught you off guard.
It really, it 100% did.
Okay, so we end up getting this kill, and then what happens? Did you hear this kid?
I get shot. No, I absolutely no idea that guy was even there.
Yeah, I didn't even hear the audio. Like, it was almost as if he just appeared and, like, just was on you. So nothing, like, sometimes those are situations where it's like, that's not a bad death. Like, there's not a lot you could have done about that. Like, yeah, you probably could have pushed forward. Sometimes that's what I'll do, is a lot of times I'll get a kill and push out the direction that I was getting a kill. Because a lot of times when you rotate back the direction that you were coming from, there's somebody near there. But it's hard to tell. And that's one of those situations where it's like, that's not a bad death. That's just a death. And so now this is what I wanted to talk about. We got a fire sale up on the board, which happens, I believe, at 3 minutes and 10 seconds every single time in Resurgence. So we got a fire sale up on the board. And we have $12,900. Now, right here, we have enough for a loadout or our guns, and we're still going back to the same spot. So this is almost it's almost like that type of a situation where I've noticed where you come back to the same spots that you had action before, and you will probably find more fights, and that's okay and fine to do in some situations. But what I would like to see you do is gear yourself up first, get your guns, and then go back. Because right here, you're running off the trash loot. Like, everybody else has their guns and stuff like that, and you're running off of, like, everybody else's seconds. So this is where we want to try to make sure we're gearing up as much as possible right now. All right.
Yeah, I wasn't even aware of how much money I had at the time. I just knew where loaded guns were. So that's why I pushed it.
Absolutely. I think moving forward, that's going to be what I want. And I'm going to write this down in your notes. Like, every time you come back from the dead, every time you rebirth, I want you to look at how much money you have.
Okay.
We see a kid down here. Now, let's talk about this, okay? What should we have done in this situation? Pretend the precision airstrike isn't there. You get the kid one shot. What should we be doing right now?
Pushing.
Yes. And what's the difference between the first fight and this fight? It's the first fight of the game. Go on.
Yeah, my centering was all off. I did not un-ADS and re-ADS. I just tried to recorrect it.
Are you talking about here or before?
Here.
Yeah. Honestly, I felt like your shots were fine. The difference in this situation so the first situation, you chowed out the person who was barely weak, and then this one, you got this kid one shot cracked and then didn't push him. So this is the type of situations where I'm almost always like, I kind of hound my clients. Like, you want to make sure you're getting super aggressive here and that you are pushing like 110% on this kid, because there's almost no reason why he should kind of turn around in this situation and win the gunfight when you just have to put like 1 to 2 bullets into him. So
Right.
kind of trying to get yourself into the habit. I get someone really weak and then get aggressive. And I'm gonna write that down in your notes again.
It may have also stemmed from that I pushed through that door on the other guy,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't want to make the same mistake again.
I get that. Yeah, that makes
So
a lot of
and
sense.
that's probably what my brain was doing at the time. So I stood back and tried to nade to try to get the down with the nade.
Yep. Can you see the difference between this gunfight right here? So okay, so we go, we get him weak, and then he runs, and this gunfight right here.
Yeah.
So look, that kid's 2 bullets got hit on him, and then the other person was completely absolute one shot. So it's honestly,
Yeah.
it's just kind of knowing those minor things make such a big difference. Like anytime I crack somebody, I get aggressive because people tend to back off. So if you can kind of understand that psychology, like I crack them, they are now becoming a little bit more timid. I get aggressive and they're backing off. You have a pretty high probability you're going to win that engagement. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Awesome, bro. Super good stuff. We ran out of time, but that was awesome. You did a phenomenal job today.